Welcome. I'm Jeanette, the North End Coach. I'm glad you're here with me. I'm continuing my video series of trying to get more integration between my work and my personal life. Uh, when I say integration, what I mean is balance. I'm severely out of balance, much more work than life or personal life. And so I have been kind of video journaling through these videos, my process to build and essentially get some life back in. And I've been using a strategy to go after things that I find. I, I took an assessment that looks at things that not your own strengths, but things that you really appreciate. And I have a strong appreciation for uh, beauty and excellence, which is one category. So it's beauty in all sorts of different forms and just excellence in general, curiosity, love of learning. Again, these aren't my attributes, but things I appreciate and that draw me out. And so that's been the strategy because left to my own devices, I will just work, 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 because I also find that very interesting and fulfilling. But I also want to build in some of these other balance pieces. So I have been trying to experiment, and I'm happy to tell you, drum roll, that I had a really good week. Now, it did not look like it was going to turn out that way because for the majority of the week, it was, again, a lot of work, 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 not so much of the life balance involved in it. However, late in the week, it really shaped up to actually have a lot of good things happen. So, um, one of the drivers, you may ask if you have been watching my videos, what changed? Why did it become possible this week? Well, one thing that I think is a key driver here is urgency. So the idea that I had had has an expiration date to it just because it's seasonal in nature. And so time was rapidly drawing to a close. And I knew, like, sort of like now, now, never is not it's not now or never. It's now or next year. And I really wanted to do this year. So I persevered through that feeling of like, I'm so tired when I had to wake up Saturday morning to get on the road because it was a little bit of a drive away. But I persevered through that because I really wanted this to happen from that urgency perspective. And I'm so glad that it did because it was a great experience. And I'll just summarize for you that what I did was to go out about just shy of 2 hours away to a part of the sort of the heading into the kind of the midsection of California to something called Jepson Preserve, Prairie Preserve. And I'll drop this in the description box so you can see it. But essentially, it is some of the last bit of pristine or close to pristine vernal pools in California. And now I'm drawing a blank, maybe anywhere. I'll just check my facts on that. But anyway, it's very unusual to see. And so at this particular point, well, let me back up. A vernal pool is formed because there's so much clay in the soil that when you dig down, like about a foot underneath the topsoil, there's clay. And so when the rain starts in November and December, it quickly takes in the water and then forms almost like the bottom of a pool. So anything else in the rainy season just adds up and builds ultimately into essentially like a small lake. And then for half of the year, there's water there. And then for the other half of the year, it's arid. And so there are some very interesting um, plants and flowers, wildflowers in particular, and some animal life there that is particularly suited for living under these conditions. And so there was a docent-led tour on Saturday, and I spent about a couple hours there, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. And I will put into this video after I edit it some of the shots from there so that you can share in that. But I essentially made a day of it. So I did that, and then I saw some other sites from around that area for the part of me that loves like historical things. There was a railroad museum, not very large, but a smaller railroad museum. Um, and then there was another kind of uh, uh, trust, not trust, but open space that is managed by a trust is why I was thinking of that word. Anyway, that I also stopped by and just had a really lovely day. And then that was Saturday. And then today, also just no work. No work went on. It's Easter Sunday as the filming of this, so there were it was a lovely service in the morning to celebrate Easter with, full full pipe organ and orchestra and choir and just really lovely. And then family time, friends, and now I'm filming this video talking about it. So, what's my conclusion about why it worked this week? I think it's that urgent element. I think when I was like, "Okay, if I don't do this, I'm gonna miss out on this opportunity," it really drove me forward. So I am going to think about how I can apply that to what I do this week because as I have been sharing, it's not just a one-time deal. I'm wanting to grow in this area and make it, much more common. So I will be planning about what comes next. And I'll be coming back and sharing that. So for today, thanks for joining me. I'd love to hear what inspiration have you had about building more balance in your life. Drop it in the chat in the notes and we can talk about it. And in the meantime, thanks for joining and have a terrific week. We'll talk to you next week. Bye now.